The search for the Titan, the submersible that imploded shortly after it lost contact, was something that many saw as a race against time. But was it really the case? And did the US Navy already know on Sunday itself that the capsule had imploded? It certainly seems so. Now, listen to what the US Coast Guard has to say about finding the debris and confirming that all the 5 passengers on board that capsule would not have survived the implosion.
This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tailcone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
So, who were the 5 people on board this ill-fated capsule? Here are the 5 of them. Stockton Rush, the founder and CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, the company that ran these adventure explorations. He was also the pilot of the capsule. Hamish Harding was a British national, a businessman and an explorer who had also taken a ride up in space. He also played a part in India's Project Cheetah. Just a day before this expedition, he took to social media to say that the area was witnessing its worst weather in 40 years, but that they were still going ahead with the plan as a small weather window had opened up. Belonging to one of Pakistan's richest families was well-known businessman Shahzada Dawood, who stayed in the UK and was the vice chairman of the Engro Corporation. His son Suleiman, 19 years old, was also on board. A legend when it comes to deep-sea explorations was French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet, who himself had been on more than 35 dives to the Titanic wreck site. The conditions on the day that they actually set out for their journey itself were quite difficult. In fact, this was supposed to be the only dive of 2023. And even just before they actually embarked on this journey, Hamish Harding, one of the British explorers and businessman who also was involved with India's Project Cheetah, had taken to Twitter and written that there is just a small window of opportunity, just a little weather window that allows them to go ahead with this dive. Now, it wasn't for the faint-hearted, that's for sure, but it also had massive risks that were there, and everybody on board knew about these risks. In fact, all of them would have signed waivers, which means that in the event of their death, they would not hold the company responsible for this extreme adventure that they were setting out on. 18th of June on Sunday, that was the time they set out. Within 1 hour 45 minutes, as the capsule started dropping down, they lost contact with their surface vessel. And this is where things started getting difficult and also eventually bleak. Now, the US Coast Guard, along with other countries, launched a massive manhunt. But the US Navy on 18th itself had indications that there was an implosion. The US Navy had also told the US Coast Guard that they had heard the sound of an implosion around the same place where this submersible was going down. But at that time, a call was taken to continue with the search and rescue efforts just to make sure that they leave no stone unturned. But this, anyways, is a very, very difficult terrain. The Titanic that went down in 1912 also went down when it hit an iceberg. Now, James Cameron, the director of Titanic, speaking to ABC, also said that he finds it literally surreal that in spite of the similarities, even at that time when the Titanic went down in 1912, the captain was told that there is a danger of going into ice blocks. And eventually it was an iceberg that the Titanic crashed into that led to its submergence. Even in this case, James Cameron says that the captain of this expedition also was very well aware of the dangers. And this is not something new. In fact, when they started out on these expeditions 2 years ago, because this is actually the third expedition. When they started out on these expeditions 2 years ago, there were a number of people, more than 3 dozen people involved with this kind of adventure and expeditions had gone on record to say that the company OceanGate Expeditions should actually get a safety certificate from a third party. It was something that was not done by the CEO and founder of OceanGate, who unfortunately also died and was among the 5 who were in that submersible. Now, many say, what about the possibility of retrieving the bodies? That is not very clear at this point, and the US Coast Guard was asked that question in the press conference, and this is what they had to say.
This is an incredibly unforgiving environment down there on the seafloor, and the debris is consistent with a catastrophic implosion of the vessel. And so we'll continue to work and continue to search the area down there, but I don't have an answer for prospects at this time.
In a statement, OceanGate Expeditions said, and I quote, "These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Our hearts are with these 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time. We grieve the loss of life and joy they brought to everyone they knew." Unquote. The other thing is that when the debris was found, they actually found a portion of the capsule, and then they found the debris that was consistent with that implosion that they're talking about. That effectively means that death would have been literally instantaneous for the 5 on board. This was a capsule that was about 22 feet. It had only one porthole, which means only one little window-like structure from where they could look outside into the sea. And it was also a capsule that had to be bolted from the outside. Nobody from the inside could have opened it. It was also a capsule where you had to sit down for long hours. There was no way that you could stand in this capsule. This was a journey that would have taken about 8 days had it, completed its journey. Not all of it would have been close to where the Titanic is, but they all knew the risks that were there. And now many questions are being asked on whether all safety precaution measures were ignored by those who knew the risks that were involved.